All right, guys, so we have some bombshell reporting here that I have to share with you, and shout out to Ken Klippenstein who got this for us. Trump's NSPM 7 labels common beliefs as terrorism indicators. The new directive targets anti-Christian, anti-American, and anti-capitalism opinions. So I'm going to break this down for you here, but the bottom line is Trump is ushering the power of the entire federal government and changing the mindset and the scope to say, hey, anybody who basically disagrees with us is a person of interest and a potential terrorist. And so it is perfectly fair game to spy on these people, to violate their privacy rights, to try to keep them out of positions of power, get them out of any position of power that they have. I mean, this is an all-out assault on freedom of speech and freedom of thought. That's what this is. With the mainstream media distracted by the made-for-TV drama of James Comey's indictment, Trump has signed a little-noticed national security directive identifying anti-Christian and anti-American views as indicators of radical left violence. Called National Security Presidential Memorandum 7, is being referred to as NSPM 7 by administration insiders. Quote, this is the first time in American history that there is an all-of-government effort to dismantle left-wing terrorism, Trump's Homeland Security advisor Stephen Miller said, referring to the issuance. To the extent that the major media noticed the directive at all, even C-SPAN incorrectly labeled it as an executive order, like this week's designation of Antifa as a domestic terrorist organization. It's hard to overstate how much different NSPM 7 is from the over 200 executive orders Trump has frantically signed since coming back into office. An executive order publicly lays out the course of day-to-day federal government operations, whereas a national security directive is a sweeping policy decree for the defense, foreign policy, intelligence, and law enforcement apparatus. National security directives are often secret, but in this case, the Trump administration chose to publish NSPM 7, only the seventh since he's come into office. Previous national security directives have been controversial, even politically earth-shaking. In 1980, for example, President Jimmy Carter signed the top-secret Presidential Directive 59, directing the new nuclear warfighting policies that persisted until the end of the Cold War. When revealed, PD 59 caused a public furor. Similarly, President George W. Bush signed a series of classified national security directives after 9/11, the most famous of which authorized NSA's unlawful domestic intercepts, a directive that wasn't publicly revealed until 4 years later. In NSPM 7, Countering Domestic Terrorism and Organized Political Violence, President Trump directs the Justice Department, the FBI, and other national security agencies and departments to fight his version of political violence in America, retooling a network of Joint Terrorism Task Force to focus on leftist political violence in America. The vast counterterrorism army, made up of federal, state, and local agents, would, as Trump aide Stephen Miller said, form the central hub of that effort. NSPM 7 directs a new national strategy to disrupt any individual or groups that foment political violence, including before they result in violent political acts. Do you understand what's being said there? If you say the things that we don't like, if you say the things that we disagree with, if you say anti-Christian things and anti-American things and anti-capitalist things, we think that's a marker for violence. And so now we need to disrupt any individual or group that foments political violence that we just made up. Because, of course, there's no evidence any of these things are going to definitionally lead to political violence. That's fucking preposterous. That's like saying anybody, your aunt who posts on Facebook who votes MAGA, that's like me saying, oh, she's guaranteed to commit violence because she's MAGA. Really? Every single person is fucking guilty? Right? That would be, if we had the federal government under a Democrat doing that, they would scream bloody murder, and they'd be correct to scream it, because they'd be saying, what? Literally anybody? Anybody and everybody who votes Republican is, by definition, a terrorist or a terrorist in waiting, that now you're going to use the federal government to go after them? So they say we're going to disrupt any individuals or groups that foment political violence before they result in violent political acts. Do you understand? They're literally giving themselves the legal framework to go after anybody and everybody they disagree with. They're giving themselves the legal framework to make it so that this is a one-party state. That's what we're witnessing. A one-party country. They're trying to criminalize Democrats, liberals, and leftists. Period. Full stop. That's what this is. In other words, they're targeting pre-crime. To reference the Minority Report, the Trump administration isn't only targeting organizations or groups, but even individuals and entities whose NSPM 7 says can be identified by any of the following indicators of violence. So here's what Ken says. You're on the enemy's list of America, and you could be investigated, you could be targeted if you just have any of these beliefs. Ready? Anti-Americanism. We'll break down in a minute what some of this stuff may or may not mean, right? Anti-Americanism, anti-capitalism, anti-Christianity, support for the overthrow of the U.S. government, extremism on migration, extremism on race, extremism on gender, hostility towards those who hold traditional views on family, hostility towards those who hold traditional American views on religion, and hostility towards those who hold traditional American views on morality. All right, so let's walk through this. Anti-Americanism. What does that mean according to them? Literally anybody left of center. Any liberal, any leftist, any Democrat, they say you're anti-American. Why? Because, I don't know, you might say, hey, the school should teach slavery. They should teach redlining. They should teach about Jim Crow. They should teach about the Native American genocide and our whole history, the good and the bad. The fact that you even want to acknowledge that bad exists, they would say that's anti-Americanism. So they look at somebody like me who harshly critiques America, and they go, you're anti-American. It doesn't matter to them. They don't care that I'm critiquing America because I want to improve it. I want to make it better, right? I think that's what a real patriot does. Dissent is the highest form of patriotism. To say, hey, this thing's fucked up. Let's fix it. Hey, medical bills are the number one cause of bankruptcy. We should fix that. Our healthcare system is a fucking disgrace. Our health insurance system, they're basically a legal parasite mafia middleman that's robbing you and getting in between you and your doctor. It is correct to point that out. It is patriotic to point that out. But according to them, no, that's anti-Americanism. And now I say you might be a terrorist. So now we can investigate you. Now we can come after you. Now we can try to charge you on some bullshit mucked up charges. This is like a new Red Scare. This is like a new McCarthyism type shit. Except now they're saying literally anybody who we determine is a leftist. And by the way, let's be clear, when they say leftist, they don't mean leftist in the way that intellectuals who understand the definitions, the way they mean it. No, they mean literally anybody left of center. They would say Hakeem Jeffries is a leftist, right? It's literally everybody left of center in this country. Anti-capitalism. So what? Now, like Bernie Sanders, he says he's a democratic socialist. So he wants to have universal health care. He wants to have free college and things of that nature. That now is an indicator of being a terrorist? Do you understand that this is factually wrong? This is horse shit, and they know it's horse shit, but they don't care because this is a fucking power play. That's what it is. Anti-Christianity. Oh, really? So in other words, being an atheist or being an agnostic is now an indicator for terrorism? So is Bill Maher about to go blow up a movie theater? Like, what are we talking about here? This is the dumbest fucking thing I've ever seen in my life. They're barely trying. They're barely trying. It's a rank overreach and power play. It's the most obvious overreach I've ever seen in my entire life. And everybody should be screaming from the fucking rooftops about this. Democrats, where are you? Media, where are you? Well, you think if you go hide in the corner in the fucking cuck chair, you're going to get away scot-free? No, you're not. They're going to run roughshod over you like they've been doing. I just saw before I came on air, apparently, Democrats were given an order from Democratic leadership, hey, don't speak out against Trump's regime change attempt on Maduro, because then they're going to paint us as being pro-Maduro, and we don't want that. I'm going to fucking lose it. We're right back in 2003 with the war in Iraq, except worse. Because now, they're also, those same tools that were used to oppress over there are being used to oppress at home as well. Right? And so what? They can bomb any country. They can attack any country. They can start 7 new wars. And you're not allowed to say, that's a bad idea. That's illegal. That's unconstitutional. You're the baddie in this scenario. Those are innocent people. They weren't going to attack us. You're not allowed to say that because they might smear you and say you love Maduro. Oh my God. They're so scared of their own shadow. It's pathetic. It's so pathetic. Support for overthrowing the United States government. Okay, so here's my question. Was everybody in MAGA a terrorist because they thought Joe Biden's government was illegitimate? Hey, they supported overthrowing you. There were people in MAGA saying like 2 or 3 years into Biden's term, we should force him out and put Trump back in. Okay, according to your logic, does that make that person a terrorist? Jesus Christ. Extremism on migration. Now, what do they mean by that? They mean if you support open borders. They mean even if you support having borders, but having more altruistic and empathetic rules and regulations, they consider that unacceptable. They consider that terrorism. Extremism on race. Now, by the way, do they mean the KKK? Do they mean neo-Nazis? Do they mean groypers? Do they mean open racists? No, when they say extremism on race, they mean people who are anti-racist. That's what they mean. Anti-racist people. Extremism on gender. Gee, I wonder what that means. I wonder if they're going to try to categorize all trans people as violent extremists or potential violent extremists. Oh, wait, that's right. There was already reporting from Ken that said that's exactly what they're doing. Gender ideology is something you have to worry about. This is what they believe. Jesus Christ, they've ramped it up and they've overreached so fucking hard, man. And then, of course, you have hostility towards those who hold traditional American views on family. Like, what does that one even mean? So somebody who's a bachelor and they advocate for the bachelor lifestyle, now they're a fucking enemy of the state? Really? Or is that a wink and a nod to gay people, right? Oh, you have a gay family? Well, that might be an indicator of being a terrorist. So it's not only trans people they're going after. Yes, it is the LGBTQ plus community that they're going after. Again, hostility towards those who hold traditional American views on religion. Okay, so is like Bill Maher, Richard Dawkins, are all these people terrorists? Hostility towards those who hold traditional American views on morality. The most ironic point of all, because literally nobody on earth is as immoral as these people are, right? These are the people who just kicked 17 million people off Medicaid, stole their healthcare from them, cut Meals on Wheels and pediatric cancer research. And they're going to lecture us about, oh, if you're against traditional American views on morality, you're the problem. Well, your traditional American morality led you to cut pediatric cancer research and Meals on Wheels and Medicaid. So maybe you're the problem here. Maybe you're the immoral one here. Oh my God. So anyway, this is a huge deal. And the fact that more people aren't talking about it is driving me crazy. It's driving me crazy. I mean, it is, look, I've told you guys this before, but in a free and fair election, Democrats would win just because the right is so insane. That's what would happen in the midterms. But we don't know if it's going to be free and fair elections. And to Democrats, like I always say, would you rather win by 2 points or would you rather win by 18 points? Because if you're just sitting back, you're not fighting back on any of these things, they will go as far as you let them. If they don't hit a wall of fucking resistance, they will go all the way. And so you are aiding and abetting the rise of open American fascism by hiding and being afraid of your own shadow. That's what's happening right now. Hey, y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop. And watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.